Hey, how are you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is David Alessio, and today I'm going to be talking about my experience at bootcamp. I was supposed to be at bootcamp for 2 months, but I stayed over there for 3 months, and that is because of everything I'm gonna be telling you in this story. I was supposed to graduate and stay, but I just came back home. I have some unfortunate events that happened to myself, and that's what sent me back home. Um, if you know me, you have been talking to me through my Instagram, you know that I told you already what happened. And what happened was that I hurt my leg. I'm gonna go into what happened that day. It was after 1 month after we have been marching. Like everything we were doing in the boot camp on the first month, this happened on Fortag. Fortag missed the 4 week. So we were over there and then we were marching. That day was really, really hot. And cadets were just falling off of line. They were just just dropping because the heat was so hot. And on that day, I could feel my feet hurting a lot. We were probably like zero point 0.3 miles away from the compartment, so I didn't want to stop the whole division just because of myself, even though it was stopping because cadets were just falling off from the heat. But I didn't want to be that person that was going to stop the whole division, so I just just hold it in and continue walking or marching. So we were marching, and then we got to the compartment. Everything was fine that night. Everything was good. I went to sleep, and then the next day, my feet were really swollen. Like my whole feet with my toes, they were super swollen, super both of them. And when I tried to get out of bed, also I had a really uncomfortable, a really bad pain that I just couldn't get out of bed. It was really bad. I made this bad scream on a bad movement that I make on my bed that it spread all around the whole compartment and the whole division was able to hear it. So I went to my petty officer and I asked her if I could go to the doctor. Which she told me that yes, it was fine. And I went to the um to the doctor. The doctor gave me some pills and then she told me to stay after examining me and she told me to just go back to the compartment and to stay in there with SIQ. She gave me an SIQ note, which means seeking quarters for 3 days. So I was there. They will bring the my breakfast, my lunch, and my dinner to my bed, and I wouldn't have permission to get out of my rack, only if I wanted to use the restroom, of course. So the pain, instead of getting better with time, it was getting worse. So after the 3 days have passed, I went back to the doctor again in base and I got some more pills. Then after that, I still had the pain. I could walk. I was able to get out of now I have permission from the doctor to get out of bed, but the pain was not going anywhere. It was still there. I could feel the pain still. So she told me that I could just walk with the whole division, but just walk at my own pace. And I was not able to you know to stand for more than 15 minutes. I was not able to exercise with the whole division. So after that, I was feeling really sad, very depressed, and that is because I knew at that point that I was not going to be able to pass my physical test or my PF. That's how it's called up there, because I knew that the pain was not going anywhere, and we were like 2 weeks away from the PF. Before having that pain, we took a practice PF, and I aced everything. I was 20 seconds short, but what is 20 seconds? And it was 20 seconds because I did the last the last run, or the last run around the circle. I did a walking because I thought that I was not gonna be able to make it on time, but I did a walking. If I had run that one, I was probably gonna be like on 15 minutes instead of 16. So I was going to be super good. So I was not worried about passing that because I had it already in my pocket. I was able to do all my push-ups more than needed, and I was able to do all my sit-ups more than needed. But at that point, when I hurt my leg, I knew that I was already disqualified because I was not going to be able. I was even able to keep pace marching. The pain was really bad, so after that, I started to get depressed, and then on top of that, when when the corpsmen, or the which are the same as the nurses in the civilian world, they were coming to take temperature for everybody. I t- and they saw that my temperature was very high. I don't remember what was it, but it was very high, and they saw me. I was coughing, and I was, with headaches and runny nose, and I had also watery eyes. They saw all these symptoms, and they sent me to a different compartment. What it was, a compartment which they didn't know if I was COVID positive or not, and until they make a test, and they received the results 5 days later, which came back positive. So after that, they take me out of that compartment, and they sent me to another compartment, where this compartment was only for COVID positive recruits. And so I was supposed to stay in there for separation for 2 weeks, 14 days. I stayed in there, and things were just getting worse. On top of testing COVID positive, I had that pain on my leg also, and depression was getting into me, because I knew that all the effort that I put before coming into this place, I didn't just went to that recruit and then, okay, I'll wait and I'll just get in, and see what happens in the Navy. No, I went to the recruit, and then I started to train 2 3 months before going over there, because I was going to be ready to pass everything. Even that, they gave me a book this big, and then a small book like this, so it was two books. One with that it was a study guide. I did all that study guide. It was 100 and something pages. I did all that, and then I read a book in 2 weeks also that it was this big for 650 pages. I read everything. I knew all the stories that were in there. I was ready. If I'm getting into something, I want to be prepared with everything. So, but unfortunately, what happens, and I knew that I was not going to be able to make the PF. So I was feeling very sad, and 3 days into the coffee positive room, I was not eating at all. I was not having breakfast. I was not having lunch. I was not having dinner. And so because of that, I was very worried, because I was not getting hungry. I was trying to force the food on myself, but I was feeling apathetic to everything. So they sent me to the doctor that is out base, to the nearest hospital, which is the FHCC, and I went over there, and I got examined by the doctor. He gave me some pills, then he sent me back. 2 days later, I went again, because I had this terrible headache, but it was really really bad, and I didn't want to go, because just because of a headache. But I remember I had this friend of mine that she died because she had a headache, and she told her mom that she had a headache. At night, her mom did what every other mom would do: just take some pills and go to sleep. So that's what she did. She took some pills, she went back to sleep, and at midnight she woke up with the headache still. She was crying, and she was feeling really bad. So they took her to the hospital, and at the hospital she died. And they told her, because something about the pain, she had like an aneurysm, I think it's called, when you get a vein in your brain just pops. And so they couldn't do anything about that. That was the first picture that came into my mind, and I didn't want that to happen to myself. So I just, because this headache was very bad, so I just went to the hospital again. That was the second time that I went to the hospital outside the base. And then the third time that I went to the hospital, it was 5 days in, I think. I was still not eating, and I was 5 days in. I will probably eat, like, I'll have like a piece of bread that they'll give us a sandwich, a bread, some some cookies, a dessert, and a small juice, and then fruit. I'll have the fruit, or sometimes I'll have the something small. I'll try to eat whatever my stomach will let me in, but I was not It was 5 days in and I was not having almost anything. And I was not hungry. So that was the worst thing, that I was not getting hungry. So 5 days in, I went to the doctor again and I explained to him what was happening and I was feeling really sad. And he told me that probably I was homesick. But I told him that I didn't. He was the doctor and I didn't know, but I don't think I was depressed because of leaving my home, But so what he told me is that I needed to see the mental health person in base. So I went to that. Like he gave me this notice where I could go to the mental health person in base. He was a psychologist, and I saw a psychologist in base, and he made me an examination. He made me some questions which I answered, and everything. He told me also the same, that probably I was homesick, but at that time I told him, "Can I go home?" And he told me, "No, you cannot leave this place." And then, but at that time, the only thing that I was thinking about is it was about going home now because I was not doing anything. I knew that I was sick already, and I was in the wrong place. So not only sick, but that I had my leg that was really bad. That I hurt my leg and that I was not going to be able to pass my PF. So so I saw a psychologist and he made an evaluation of myself and he told me that, you know, that yes, it's anxiety and depression, but that I could stay with those symptoms and if things were getting worse, that I could come back to him. So I said, okay, I went back. It was on the fifth day. 3 days later, it was 8 days, still not hungry, not eating, in bed. I was sleeping all day. I would just get out of bed and then get my breakfast and then go back to sleep. And then at lunch, I'll get out of bed, get lunch, and go back to sleep. And then at dinner, the same thing. And then at night after dinner, I'll go back to sleep. So I'll be sleeping the whole day. That was on the 8th day, and so this time they sent me to the hospital again, but outside the base, and I went to see a psychologist outside the base, which I explained everything to him. This time things were different. I explained to this psychologist that was outside of base that I had this dream because he told me, he was asking me questions on the evaluation. He told me, "Do you have any suicidal thoughts?" And I told him no, because I didn't have any suicidal thoughts. But I did tell him a dream that I have. I told him, "Doctor, I do not have suicidal thoughts, but I do have this dream that I had before coming over here, and it was that I saw a hand in my dream, and then I saw another hand in my dream grabbing a Gillette and cutting the other arm or the other hand right on the wrist." And so he told me, "Oh, so you are planning to cut yourself?" I told him, "No, doctor, I'm not planning to cut myself. I wouldn't do that to myself. But I am scared because I do have this dream. I never had depression before. Depression is getting worse. I'm having severe depression now. I haven't been eating for 8 days, and I don't know how I'm going to act in in an environment, in an environment where I'm not at home, and also where 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 I'm not having any food when this has never happened to me before." I I clarified to him that it was just a dream and I had no intentions on acting on it. But he decided to put on my record that I was suicidal, and I still had my severe depression and that I had the anxiety. So that was a Friday. On a Friday, he told me, "Okay, you're going to come back on Monday." So I went to the compartment that night, and then on Monday I went back again. And on Monday, from Friday to Monday, it was 2 extra days. I haven't eaten anything, nothing. Keep in mind, guys, at this time it's 10 days that I have not been eating breakfast. I have not been having lunch or dinner. So, and I was not hungry. 10 days, not hungry at all, and not eating at all.